evening and welcome to yet another episode of Africa Talks. And today we have with us seven youngsters from seven different countries of Africa who will be talking about their experiences during the lockdown period here in India. Uh, this is a very pleasant evening today in Delhi, and we have these seven youngsters joining us from different parts of India. And first of all, I would like to welcome them to the show, and then we'll go to each of them and talk about their experiences and know what they are doing currently during the lockdown in their free time. So let me welcome these seven youngsters. I have Mr. Thorn Etam from South Sudan. Thorn, can you hear us? We have Mr. Garrick Bebel from Cameroon. Hi, Garrick. Welcome to the show. Mr. Francis Mwonge from Uganda. Mr. Foster Ado from Ghana. Ms. Makawe Singani from Zimbabwe. And Mr. Alkali Simbage from DR Congo.
Thank you.
Yeah, so welcome to the show. And this is a special show which we have launched during the lockdown to talk about India and Africa, the various aspects of India and African relations. And it's really good to see so many young faces today on the show who are there in India, in different parts of India, who are pursuing their higher studies here, who decided to come to India for their future, for their higher studies. And I'm sure you are having a good time in India during this lockdown. Friends, during last 2.5 months, everyone's life underwent a lot of change. An unprecedented pandemic came and we all were very surprised and stunned that what is happening globally. And for a very long time, people couldn't make any sense that, this kind of pandemic can come suddenly from out of blue. And then the government announced the lockdown, everything came to an halt in the country. And now after 2.5 months, things are getting back on the normal track. And I think in the coming few weeks, life to a great extent would be normalized once again here in India. But I'm sure these 2.5 months must have been a different experience for all of you here in India. So I would like to know more from you that how did you spend this time, and how was your experience of staying back in India during this really tensed and stressed atmosphere, and what was your family's reaction when you decided to stay back here and continue to pursue your studies, your hobbies here during lockdown? So let me go first to Garrick Bebel. Garrick is from Cameroon. So Garrick, please tell us something about yourself and your experience during the lockdown period here in India. Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about our experience in India. Yeah, it has been quite good, but during this pandemic it was a little bit tough because the pandemic has stopped everything's closed, and it's a global pandemic that is affecting the world actually. It means all the businesses are shut down. Yeah, and the money is important, one of the important things to survive. And yeah, it's quite good because during this pandemic, I realized that I like to learn more about myself, learn more about how to use your time, how to use efficiently your time. Because during this pandemic, I've done like 2 projects only for the pandemic, only for fighting the pandemic, and now that project are running in my country. Actually, I did one web application for identify every cases of COVID-19 disease everywhere in my country actually, and I did another product about another product to disinfect people, and I can say this pandemic was not only worse, but it was only quite good because I took that time to work into some project, read many books, and actually I'm following Bill Gates actually, because Bill Gates actually at the beginning of the pandemic is trying to give every month 5 books, 5 interested books. So if you guys are interested, also you can follow him. I trying to give some book. Yeah. Now about myself, as you know, I'm Garrick. Yeah, I'm founder of Gibaonic. It's a medical startup. It's actually working in my country. It's actually going in Cameroon. I'm a biomedical engineer, and basically I'm a biomedical engineer, and I'm also in one aspect is in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning. Yeah, this is all about Gary. Thank you very much.
Great. Coming to you, Foster. Foster, you are here in Delhi pursuing your law. So tell us something about your experience of lockdown. How did you utilize the time here in Delhi? Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Namaste to everyone, and good evening to everyone watching us live on Facebook as well. So,
Namaste.
yeah, as you introduced me, I'm Foster Ado, a Ghanaian national, and pursuing my Master of Law and University School of Law and Legal Studies of IT. So basically, I've come to realize lots of things during this pandemic, how to work on yourself, like as a human being. Aside taking my online classes and also writing my thesis paper, I've been engaging in other activities away from my academic life as well. I'm one person who cares really much about my physical health and my mental sanity. So like what I actually do is that I probably spend 30 minutes, 40 minutes every day, at least doing some home exercise in order to keep me busy. And also I try to talk to my family back at home and talk to my friends as well, to just catch up with them, like know what's going on in their life. Because I think during this time, time that you have to be each other's brother's keeper, like you have to look out for other people as well. And my experience in this pandemic is something that is going to be with me for a very long time, because it's not easy as a foreigner to be isolated or to be quarantined in out of your home. So the experience is something like a roller coaster. It's adventurous as well. I believe my other colleagues can relate to what I'm trying to point out here, and I feel we should try to look at the positive aspects in times like this. We should try and work out on ourselves. We should engage in other activities, like my brother Babel said. He has done several projects which is not within his academic field, like it's outside his academic field. So I think the experience has been good so far. We should forget about the negativity and we should just concentrate on the positive aspects. Thank you.
Yeah, so we should focus on the positive aspect. That's what Foster is saying. Catherine has just joined us. Catherine, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And we'll come to you later on. First, let's go to Mekawe. Mekawe is from Zimbabwe. And Mekawe, tell us something about yourself. What are you pursuing in India? And you are in which city?
Hello, good evening to everybody. I am situated in Bangalore, and I have been studying a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. During this pandemic, considering I was actually looking forward to around June this year, because that's when we were all about to graduate finally. A lot of years of hard work, and we were so excited about graduating our last few days of class. But then we got locked down, and that was really disappointing because we had so many uncertainties and we weren't sure what is going to happen on this, as we're going forward. So during this pandemic, what I've been basically doing, because we have been locked up, for me personally, I didn't get to see any of my friends. So everything for me was virtual, from classes, talking to family, and also communicating with friends. It was mostly virtual. And I feel like as humans, it was a necessary break that we didn't realize we needed. Never mind it being a very bad situation, but then some people had been going through so many stresses and they needed a slow down, 1 or 2 days at home to calm down. And it helped me realize a couple of my passions. I've been working on makeup, I've been cooking a whole lot more. I've been investing my time in reading novels, and just lightening up my mind to less stressful activities. And that has helped a lot.
Great. I mean, a lot of interesting stuff Mekawe has been doing in the last 2.5 months. Great. Coming to you, Francis. Francis is from Uganda, and Francis, tell us something about yourself. What are you studying, and where are you currently in India?
Yes, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on your time zone. First of all, I'm grateful for this platform. Mr. Narendra, you're doing a great work, joining us together and giving us an opportunity to share our experiences during these trying moments. I'm Francis Monge, and I'm here in Gujarati, that's the west of India, at Parur University. I'm pursuing my 5-year integrated course, that's Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Laws, and I'm in my 4th year. The lockdown has been a great moment for everybody, and I would agree with the previous speaker, Mekawe, that we really needed some time off, most of us, to take a break, reassess our lives, and see what really matters in life, and how we've been carrying on with the rest of these other aspects that go on in our lives. It has been, I can't say that it has been all good throughout the entire 2.5 months for the lockdown, but then we shall get into the intricate details of all that. But it has been also a great learning moment for me, because most of the time I've been into webinars. I got a chance to at least accomplish my semester course. That was one of the most worries that we students had, especially continuing students and finalists, that shall we be able now to complete studies, given the fact that we are under abnormal circumstances. But grateful enough, at least for my university, we were able to proceed further with school via online platforms, and we got to complete the semester. We wrote the exams as well, and we managed to close it off. So we've been now attending various webinars to enhance our knowledge in the subject, not relax so much, because just the presence of a problem doesn't mean that everything should be off or everything should be at rest. No. So it has been a great learning moment for me, and I hope that if you don't come up with a new skill, or if you don't learn something within this time, you just really never lacked time. You just lack discipline, and that's what I really believe.
Great. So I think for Francis utilized it in a very positive way. A great learning time for Francis to skill up a lot of things in his studies, in his career. Coming to you, Ali Kali. Ali Kali is from DR Congo. Ali Kali, tell us something about yourself and what you have been doing during the last 2.5 months.
Well, good evening, everybody. It is a privilege, but most importantly, an honor to be here and sharing my experience with all of you. As I said, I'm Ali Kali from DRC. I've graduated last year in Bachelor of Business Administration. And right now I was doing an internship and looking forward to my master's this year in business administration as well. So I would say the last 2 months and a half have been challenging for many of us. Let's face it, there are some other people who really face some psychological problems, feeling lonely, especially those who are used to always be out or with friends or surrounded by the crowd. But personally, I've always been someone who always time alone. you know, because I believe that the retreat is very important to discover oneself and what we really are. Nobody is around. As usual, I'm a writer. I spend time writing, but also use on different platforms such as Facebook, YouTube, and platforms. So it's been a very productive moment, though it has affected a lot of people all over the world, and of course the family. You know, the family, it's a very difficult situation, more than it is for ourselves, because we see ourselves being in a very secure environment. So I've been just facing, you know, some issues with my family. They've been worried a little bit much, checking on me every day, trying to make sure that I am safe and I'm not, you know, moving from my house. They don't want to hear any.
Yeah. Technically, I think there is some issue with the signal.
Abroad. So I would say it's been a very productive one, as usual.
Okay, great.
Oh,
so coming to you, Thon. Thon is from South Sudan. Thon, currently, where are you? In which city you are?
I came from Pune.
Okay.
And yes.
You are in Pune right now?
Yes.
Okay. How are things in Pune?
Yes.
How are things? How is the situation in Pune?
Well, I would say that the situation it is okay, because it is a problem to everyone.
Yeah. So tell us something about how you utilize your time during the lockdown in Pune.
Well, I would say about what I love the most. I am a social worker, and seeing when the lockdown erupted, it is the high time the social workers were really required. So I was busy doing that.
Great. So what kind of social work you were doing in Pune?
Well, there is association known the Association of African Students in India. I am currently the president, so I was busy putting things in place, like introducing Zoom conference call to the student, at least to ensure that they get engaged into something. And then I also participate in food distribution in the city.
Wonderful.
The student.
Great. I mean, I think that's a wonderful way of utilizing your time during such a pandemic. Catherine joined us late. So Catherine Kabele, Catherine is from Zambia. And Catherine, tell us something about yourself. What are you pursuing currently? And how was your experience during the lockdown here in India? Catherine, please unmute yourself. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Catherine Kabele, and I'm doing BSc Food Science. This is actually my final year. The pandemic has actually really affected me greatly, in the sense that, as you all know, I'm with Excellent Africa and I'm the head of education. We really planned a lot of events during before the pandemic, like charity drives, a cultivation, hackathon, and all these events have been cancelled. So, as being head of education, I had to plan, like, what do I do next? Because we are not attending classes, we are not having classes as of now. We are on lockdown, on total lockdown. So what I've been doing, I've been basically writing proposals to engage the African governments back home, so that we can see a way to help out in migrating from the normal way of learning to digital. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think for a lot of us, it was a challenging time. You know, we had planned a lot of things, several projects. You know, we all were, you know, planning for the new year. You know, that the next 6 months we'll be doing this kind of work, this kind of activities. We'll travel and we'll have so much fun. We'll pass out from the colleges, and I think all our plans have been changed. And the future is quite unpredictable because we don't know how the pandemic will behave in another 5-6 months from now. So what I'm curious to know is that a lot of Africans decided to go back to their home countries, and a lot of Indians also decided to come back to India, and still they are coming back. And the new Vande Mataram initiative has been started by the government. So why you guys decided that you'll be staying back here in India? Was that because there were not many international flights flying during this time, or you on your own you decided that it's good to stay back here in India during this lockdown period? So maybe we can start with Foster. Foster? Yes.
Yeah. So though we show here in India, like we have final year students and we have continuing students. So one problem I know that as of now, there is this atmosphere of uncertainty haunting thousands of African students in India, because there is this thing whereby you don't read for the final year students. There's this thing, as in when and how exams are going to be conducted. Though we are now doing online classes, but there is no vivid explanation when it comes to how the examinations are going to be conducted. So if you leave India and they tell you that, okay, there's going to be a pen and paper exam, by the time you are in your home country, let's assume you are in your home country now, borders or international borders have been closed. Then it will be very difficult for you to come back to India to sit for that exam. So it means that all your labor or all the hard work that you put in since first year to your final year is going to be in vain. Like your degree is at stake. So it's like life and death. You have to weigh your options. You know that, okay, you've started a journey that you can't look back. You definitely have to go forward. You definitely have to survive.
I totally agree with you. Examination is a big concern for students, especially when you're in the final year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So coming to you, Garrick Bebel. Garrick is from Cameroon. Garrick, why you decided to stay back here in India?
Yeah. Like we have to look at one thing. So first of all, if you see very well, most of the students who are going back right now at home, as Mr. Foster said, most of them, they are maybe in first year, second year, or third year. Like for the final year to go back, actually, is very difficult because you are about to get your degree, and like you have to do your exam. Because according to the Indian government, actually according to the government now, they say that the student in first year, second year, they will go maybe the next year without doing any exam. But it's not the same thing for the final year student, because you have to get a degree. In that degree, you have to pass everything. So it means you have to get the proper degree. Yeah, that's it. That's why it's very difficult to see final students to go back. Yeah,
again, because of the examination. Okay, great. Alkali. Alkali?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, hello?
Yeah. So why you decided to stay back in India?
Yes. Can I be heard? I just want to make sure.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah. I would say, first of all, I'm looking forward to doing my master's. I did not find any reason why I shall go back, because the disease or the virus is also spreading all over Africa right now. So what is the reason I shall go back? What if on my way I also get the disease and I bring it back home? So for me, in order to keep the family safe and to keep myself safe, it's better to stay where I am so that I will protect everybody around.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mekawe, you mentioned that you were just expecting that your degrees will be given to you, and you were really looking forward to it. So suddenly the lockdown happened and all the plans got haywire. So why did you decide to stay back? rather than going back to your own country?
Well, for me personally, going back home wasn't really an option. Besides, the airlines were all shut down, and it wasn't really my personal decision that I wanted to go home. My point is to ensure that I finish my degree. I will write these exams, and once I'm going back home, I'm going back knowing that everything that I needed to do here in India is already sorted. So I just thought it's okay, we'll just brave through the pandemic, and then when everything settles down, then we can move on with life, whichever way life is moving on now.
Great. Francis, what you would like to say?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, prior to the lockdown, school was ongoing. That's the one thing that we need to also put into consideration. So none of us ever thought of a situation whereby everything will be in a total shutdown. So it wasn't planned earlier that should there be any sort of situation where everything is put on a hold, people are going to be moving about. Two, you look at also traveling as a very risky point that you can't just come to a decision and you're like, let me travel, because most of the people, as you realize, that they got this kind of virus just on the flights that they were taking. Then the other issue that I would also like to put across is that as days got by into the lockdown, costs of these flights have also skyrocketed. And as we speak right now, even those who started making plans after the lockdown has been imposed and they started making plans to go back to their countries, they've been paying quite a hefty amount, which is understandable because these are not normal times.
And I think the mandatory quarantine requirements also once you land in your home
Yeah.
country. So another 2 weeks you have to be home quarantine or something. And then also you have to pay if you're going
You don't know what time
commercial
you've
quarantine.
got to spend into quarantine, and what's the solid plan here back at school, whether you're going to have exams or what sort of arrangement that is there, because nobody ever prepared for this in advance.
Okay. Thorn, what was there in your mind, when the lockdown happened? What kind of thoughts came to your mind that you'll be staying here? Because nobody knew how long the lockdown will last, how long the pandemic will last. Or you said, I'll give some time and then I'll decide, I'll go back or I'll continue here.
Actually, sir, thank you for asking me that question. I think the lockdown came when we all had planned. And I believe, according to my plan, the lockdown came and the time to leave India was not yet in my mind. So I am still under that process. So I will not accuse the lockdown right now until that time I will leave India come.
Great. So coming to you, Catherine. Catherine, I know, you just shared that most of your plans regarding Exalient Africa, they went haywire, and now I'm sure you're planning this time to replan things with a new perspective, how we are going to go ahead with your Exalient Africa. So, during this last 2.5 months, did this, you ever thought that you will go back to your home country rather than, spending time here in India?
Well, I considered that fact and I really wanted to go home. As you all know, the High Commission of Zambia facilitated the repatriation of some Zambian students here, all thanks to her. But the cost of the flight tickets are just too high. Knowing that the whole world is on an economic lockdown, people are not doing their businesses right now. It's very much impossible for me to go back, especially if a flight ticket is costing 1,500 for a one-way. So I opted to stay back because I want to go back with my degree. I want to go back to graduate with my degree. That's when I can actually go back home. Looking at the situation on the ground, again, it's very risky for me to travel, knowing that most of the cases in Zambia, as you know, we have 1,057 people infected right now with the COVID-19. And traveling by air, it's actually very risky, and you can end up contracting the virus itself. So I believe I'm safe here in India. To top it all, we have Wi-Fi and internet here. It's almost free, which I can utilize to my best. Yeah.
I think that's the best you can have in a lockdown, when you get Wi-Fi and internet for free, and you can connect with the whole world. Great. I'm sure now things are getting normalized. I don't know about the pandemic, because the corona cases in India is multiplying every day. But the government has decided to open up public spaces, and gradually from 8 June onwards. So let's see, with the physical distancing and maintaining personal hygiene, I think we'll be able to come back to a normal life to a great extent. So one thing I would like to know from all of you, one thing about which you are really excited to do once this pandemic goes away, lockdown goes away, and you are free and you come back to your normal life, one thing you're really excited about. So maybe we can start from Garrick Bevel. Garrick, what excites you about the post-pandemic phase? That once the pandemic has gone, I'm really going to do this.
Yeah, like even because I have done so much things, like so much project right now, but I'm still like feeling annoying because before the pandemic, I was able to meet friends, talking with friends, like do everything and play football with people. That thing I'm very missing that. I think the first thing that I'm going to do is first play with people, enjoy with them, maybe, and go outside, do something else, and yeah, maybe about education now, hand up with everything and get my degree done and get it done. And yeah, I think I should do those things first, and yeah, and look forward to do maybe something else about education, because I'm in final year. Yeah, for sure, maybe another university or something else. Yeah, that's it.
All the best.
Yeah,
You'll get your degree very soon. Best of luck.
Yeah.
Coming to you, Foster. Foster, what are you excited about in the post-pandemic phase?
Yeah, in the post-pandemic phase, I think I'll be doing lots of things. Most of the things that I wasn't able to do before the pandemic. Hopefully, I should get my LLM degree after the pandemic, like even before the pandemic or after the pandemic. And also probably I have this passion of setting up an organization to help the marginalized youth in the society, especially when it comes to deprived kids, like street kids. I have this passion of doing that, and over the times or over the years, I've been procrastinating a lot. Like I was like, let me finish with my education, let me complete my education. So this pandemic has taught me that sometimes we should follow what our heart tells us to do. We shouldn't like be postponing things or procrastinating things a lot. We should follow what our heart teaches us to do. Time is not really on our hands. Anything can happen at any time. So when you feel like doing something or when you have passion for something, just go all out and just do it. So hopefully I'm waiting for the post-pandemic phase to do all these things that I wasn't able to do before the pandemic came.
So you will be listening to your heart and doing what makes you happy in the post-pandemic phase. Wonderful.
Exactly.
Coming to you, Thorn, you're already doing a lot of social work there. You're part of African Union of Students. What are your plans in the post-pandemic phase once you're out of the world?
I think I did not tell about my educational background. I think I am, I would say that, okay, I am in this year struggling with the last semester.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing law. And to Foster, when you talk about LLM, you should tell everybody that is a master of legislative law. So we will be in a position to understand. What I will do that after the lockdown, it is to call for the African Day, because right now my time is coming to an end. So we will have a new team taking over the ASI. So we will do the inauguration, and there we'll invite people from back home, maybe the AU, members and some embassies and these friends right now I'm seeing here in yourself. That's what will make FinPeace.
So when is the election, or election is over?
Yes?
Son, when is the election for ASI? Is it over?
No. The election
Not
is
yet.
going to happen in June.
Okay, great. Coming to you, Francis, what are your plans?
Basically, during this time that we've spent in lockdown, I had to be doing my 2 months internship at the Supreme Court. Everything was all set, but then nothing could proceed given these abnormal circumstances. So I'm looking into buying myself time, given that still a new semester will be starting as well. So I'll have to buy myself time and get back to having at least, even if I take a month off to accomplish this backlog, that would be a nice idea for me. That's
Great.
what
So
I'm looking
Francis
for.
has a backlog of work which he'll try to finish after the pandemic is over. Coming to you, Mekhawe, the psychologist in making. Mekhawe, how you are going to utilize, what excites you? What are you looking forward to in the post-pandemic time?
Besides stating the obvious of all of us wanting to finish our degrees, what I'm looking forward to is purely recreational, spending a whole lot of time with my friends, for the last few days that we have in India, making sure that we make the best memories with each other. And as soon as maybe tourism is now open, then we can travel to different places and see different destinations of India, so that by the time I go back home, I have great stories to tell about India and not only about the coronavirus that struck in 2020.
Absolutely. So have you traveled to any other city apart from Bangalore?
Unfortunately not. No.
Not yet. Okay. Then you must explore. India is a huge and diverse country, and you'll really enjoy traveling throughout the country. Great. Coming to you, Catherine, what are your plans?
Well, the Zambian president, His Excellency Edgar Chagwa Lungu, actually instructed the Citizen Economic Empowerment Commission to actually look at proposals, bankable proposals that will enable the youth, especially the youths, to venture into agriculture. Well, lots of land have been allocated and financial aid will be given to anyone with a better proposal. So after the pandemic, I'm heading straight home because I really need to pursue this citizen empowerment, which the president has given us a mandate as youths to pursue in terms of agriculture and artificial intelligence. I'll be also carrying out seminars when I go home because the treatment which we've been receiving from these universities is actually not good, where students are asked to pay their tuition fee and hostel fee before the end of June. Looking at the pandemic which is going on and people don't have money and people are not working right now. So we'll be carrying out, as Excellent Africa, we'll be carrying out seminars, sensitizing students who will be coming here to study, to avoid such kind of universities and to actually educate them of what to expect here in India.
I think that's a very, very important step you're going to take, because a lot of students from Africa comes to India every year, and they take admissions in several private universities here in India without actually knowing what quality education they provide, what kind of infrastructure is there, what kind of facilities are there. And if you can really provide them an avenue from where they can get all that information, I think it will be really, really helpful for a lot of African students. And I think it will help them in making a more informed choice when coming to India for their higher studies. That's really good. But what's really heartening to know is that, as a youngster, you are thinking of working something in the agriculture field. Agriculture and artificial intelligence, I think if these two areas can, join hands, there can be wonders. And in India, nowadays, it's rare to find youngsters talking about agriculture and investing their time and money and efforts in agriculture and agriculture-related activities. it's only now that a few startups have started working on agri-technology and related sectors. So I think this is a really good, stream, and you will be inspiring a lot of youngsters to enter into agriculture sector once again with a fresh new perspective to start working in the fields. Great. So coming to you, Ali Kali, what are your plans after the pandemic?
As I've been saying earlier, I graduated last year and I'm doing my internship this year and looking forward to starting my master's degree. So I think this is the first step I'm waiting for. Apart from that, I'm an activist and I'm a public speaker. So I've been missing the crowd, being in front of people and expressing, our emotion, feelings, and sharing different messages. We've been doing this online. And I've been missing the feeling of being in front of people and seeing the reaction and the inspiration in them. But most importantly, I'm also the representative of all the Congolese in Bangalore. So, being in different activities, organizing activities where we can all come together.
I think we somehow disconnected Alkali. So, I mean, a lot of studious youngsters are there with us who really are looking forward to their degrees, getting their degrees this year. Some of them wants to pursue their masters in India once they finish their graduation this year. Catherine has entrepreneurship plans, and as Foster and Garrick Francis said, they'll be utilizing their time in socializing, meeting friends, doing much more hard work in their studies. Makawe wants to travel throughout the country and would like to see more of India before she goes back to her own country. So I think there are a lot of interesting plans, and I'm really sure that once everybody's life is back on track, once the pandemic is under control, and once the lockdown phase is over, we will be able to do all that is there in our mind. And I would like to end the program with what Foster said. I think this is the time we should listen to our hearts. We should make plans. We should do something which really makes us happy, so that when you go back to your own countries, you have really good memories of time spent here in India, especially when it was a difficult time for everyone during the pandemic. And that will make a lot of other youngsters realize what kind of country India is. And Catherine, I really echo what you said. We really need youngsters, when they come to India, they should make more informed choices. They should not feel cheated when they come to India. And all of you can be the ambassadors in your own countries to guide the youngsters who want to pursue their higher studies in India, that what really works in India, what doesn't work in India, what kind of facilities are there, what kind of infrastructure is there, and what would be good for them, so that when they land in India, they should not realize that they have not just wasted money, they're going to waste their next 3-4 years also. So I think as youngsters, you can play a very important role in your own countries. You can really guide the youngsters of your countries and help them making their future. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us today. It was an interesting discussion, and I really loved the way you shared your experiences, what you have been doing during the last 2.5 months. And second thing, which I'm really impressed with, is how focused you are on your studies and on your future. That is remarkable. So best of luck to all of you for your future. And I really look forward to, a more prosperous and bright months ahead for you here in India. And you get to see a lot of India and get to meet a lot of other Indian people once the lockdown is over. And from our team of India Africa Today, all the best. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good evening and goodbye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much for this opportunity.